The council chamber hung suspended in the void like a pompous jewel, its thousand facets catching starlight as if the universe itself should be impressed. Xyloth adjusted his ceremonial robes, all 17 layers of them, because apparently being a species representative meant drowning in fabric. He'd been summoned to an emergency session, which in council terms meant someone had probably sneezed in the wrong direction and offended 3 different cultural protocols. Fellow sentience, boomed High Chancellor Vornak, his 3 mouths somehow managing to sound condescending in perfect harmony. We gather today to address the Earth situation. Ah yes, the Earth situation. Xyloth's tentacles curled with amusement. The pink bipeds had applied for council membership 50 cycles ago. 50. Most species waited centuries just to get their application reviewed, but humans? They'd sent daily messages, weekly delegations, monthly gift baskets filled with something called chocolate that had half the council addicted faster than Zephyrin spice. The humans have become persistent, Vornak continued, his middle mouth twitching with distaste. Their ambassador, Elena Vasquez, has requested another hearing. Another? Screeched Counselor Thrix, her feathers ruffling dramatically. That's the 47th this cycle. Do they not understand the concept of patience? Xyloth shifted in his hover throne. He'd actually liked Ambassador Vasquez. She had this way of smiling that suggested she knew exactly how ridiculous the council's bureaucracy was, but was too polite to say it out loud. Plus, she'd brought him coffee once. Black, no sugar. Exactly how he liked his caffeinated beverages from underdeveloped worlds. I propose. Vornak's left mouth began while his right mouth was still talking about protocol violations, which was always disconcerting, a case that we formally reject Earth's application, permanently. Bon T. The chamber erupted in murmurs, whispers, and what sounded like someone playing a kazoo, though that might have been Counselor Blorg's natural speaking voice. On what grounds? Xyloth found himself asking, immediately regretting drawing attention to himself. All 3 of Vornak's mouths smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant sight. The humans are unpredictable, emotional. They wage wars over resources, ideologies, even their preferred methods of preparing dead animal flesh. Clearly, they lack the sophistication required for council membership. Unlike us, Xyloth muttered, remembering last week's 3-hour debate over the proper pronunciation of committee. They'd nearly declared war on the Zentari collective over a misplaced apostrophe. Furthermore, Vornak continued, warming to his theme like a plasma core approaching critical mass, their technology is primitive. They still use combustion engines, chemical rockets. They haven't even mastered faster-than-light communication. They seem to master it well enough to send all those applications, someone whispered. Xyloth thought it might have been him. Silence. Vornak's decree reverberated through the chamber. All in favor of permanent rejection, appendages, tentacles, and various other voting apparatus rose throughout the chamber. Xyloth kept his tentacles firmly wrapped around his throne. He'd seen Earth's history files. Humans had this amusing tendency to hold grudges, and their military doctrine? Creative didn't begin to cover it. Motion carried. Vornak announced triumphantly, Counselor Xyloth, since you seem so fond of the humans, you may deliver the news personally, of course. Because why send a diplomatic team when you could send the one council member who'd actually bothered to learn their languages? Xyloth extracted himself from his throne with all the enthusiasm of someone volunteering for root canal surgery. The human embassy was located in Sector 7, which the council had graciously designated as suitable for primitive species. It was basically a cosmic slum with better lighting. Xyloth found Ambassador Vasquez in her office, surrounded by the chaotic energy that seemed to follow humans everywhere. Papers covered every surface. Multiple screens showed different data streams, and was that, yes, a coffee machine that appeared to have achieved sentience, and was now refusing to dispense anything but decaf. Xyloth. Elena's face lit up with that distinctly human expression of genuine pleasure. Please sit. Coffee? I'm fighting with the machine, but I think I'm winning. Ambassador. Xyloth began, trying to arrange his face into something appropriately somber. Delivering bad news to humans was like defusing a bomb while riding a roller coaster. in a thunderstorm. While juggling, Elena's expression shifted, reading his mood with that uncanny human intuition. They rejected us again, didn't they? Permanently, I'm afraid. She nodded slowly, sinking into her chair. For a moment, Xyloth thought she might cry, which would have been awkward since his species absorbed moisture through their skin. Instead, she laughed. Not the bitter laugh he'd expected, but something else. Something that made his chromatophores flicker nervously. Permanently, she repeated, savoring the word like fine wine. Tell me, Xyloth, did they give a reason? The usual. Primitive technology, emotional instability, your species' propensity for violence. Elena leaned back, steepling her fingers in that gesture humans made when they were thinking thoughts that should worry everyone in a 50-light-year radius. And I suppose High Chancellor Vornak led the charge? How did you? Lucky guess. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You know what's funny, Xyloth? We've spent 50 years trying to join your council. 50 years of applications, negotiations, and diplomatic niceties. We've shared our art, our music, our food. We've bent over backwards to prove we're worthy of a seat at your table. I understand your disappointment. Disappointment? Elena stood abruptly, moving to the window that overlooked the embassy district. Oh, Xyloth. Sweet, naive Xyloth. We're not disappointed, we're relieved. That was not the response he'd expected. His translator must be malfunctioning, you see. Elena continued, her voice taking on a conversational tone that somehow made it more terrifying. We've learned something valuable these past 50 years. Your council isn't a governing body, it's a country club, and not even a good one. You know what we called it back home? The Galactic HFY. I don't understand that reference. Homeowners Association. Groups of people who spend their time arguing about lawn height and mailbox colors while ignoring actual problems. She turned back to him, and there was something in her eyes that made his survival instincts start screaming. Tell me, when was the last time the council actually did something useful? Xyloth opened his mouth, then closed it. The last major council achievement had been standardizing the universal calendar, and that had taken 3 centuries and 2 civil wars. Exactly. Elena moved to her desk, pressing a button Xyloth hadn't noticed before. Jackson? Yes, it's time. Send the message. What message? Xyloth asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Our formal withdrawal from the council application process, Elena said cheerfully, along with our declaration of independence from council space, effective immediately. You can't just declare independence from galactic law. Watch us. Her smile was all teeth now. You know what's really funny? Your council spent so much time debating our worthiness, you never bothered to ask why we wanted to join in the first place. Why did you? To see if it was worth saving. Elena pulled up a holographic display showing star charts Xyloth didn't recognize. Earth's been busy these 50 years. Xyloth, while your council debated, we've been building, learning, preparing. Preparing for what? For the moment someone was stupid enough to permanently reject us. The star chart zoomed in, revealing fleet positions that made Xyloth's heart skip several beats. Did you know we reverse-engineered FTL communication from those rejection letters you kept sending? Quite elegant technology, really. We improved it. Those are warships, peacekeeping vessels. Elena corrected with mock sincerity. After all, someone needs to maintain order in the sectors the council ignores. Pirates, slavers, the occasional genocidal empire. You know, minor stuff the council's too busy to handle. Xyloth's chromatophores were cycling through colors faster than a disco ball now. The council will see this as an act of war. No, they'll see it as an inconvenience. They'll debate it for a few centuries, form some committees, maybe send a strongly worded letter. Elena's expression softened slightly. We're not declaring war, Xyloth. We're just opting out, building something better. Something that actually works. And if the council tries to stop you, Elena's smile returned, sharp as a molecular blade. Then they'll learn why our species' propensity for violence made their list of concerns. The coffee machine chose that moment to finally surrender. Dispensing a perfect cup of espresso, Elena raised it in a mock toast. To the Council, may they enjoy their eternal debates while the galaxy burns around them. Xyloth left the embassy with his mind racing. He should report this immediately. Should warn the Council about the human fleet. Their plans, their terrifying calm in the face of rejection. Instead, he found himself thinking about that coffee machine. Primitive technology, Vornak had said. But it made better coffee than anything in the Council chambers. As his transport lifted off, Xyloth caught a glimpse of human ships emerging from hyperspace. Sleek, angular things that looked like they'd been designed by someone who'd looked at Council regulations and decided they were more like suggestions. His translator pinged with incoming messages, all variations of what the hell are those. The humans had played the long game. 50 years of applications hadn't been about joining the Council, it had been about learning it, understanding it, finding every weakness, every blind spot, every bureaucratic tangle that would slow their response to, or whatever this was. Babe, Xyloth's communication device chimed. Manarka, a priority message from Elena Vasquez. Thanks for delivering the news personally. Sorry about what's coming next. You might want to avoid Sector 3 for a while. Oh, and Xyloth? That coffee subscription you mentioned wanting? Check your quarters. Consider it a goodbye gift. He almost smiled. Then he remembered Sector 3 was where Vornak's private estate was located, along with the Council's main financial reserves and their primary shipyards. Oh, void take it all. The humans weren't starting a war. They were ending one that hadn't even begun yet. And they were doing it with style, sarcasm, and probably a disturbing amount of caffeine. As his transport approached the Council chambers, now looking less like a jewel and more like a target, Xyloth made a decision. Maybe it was time to take that vacation he'd been putting off. Somewhere far from Council space. Somewhere the humans might overlook when they came to collect their decades of accumulated grudges. Because if there was one thing Xyloth had learned about humans, it was this: they never forgot, they rarely forgave, and they absolutely positively always had a plan B. And probably a plan C through Z, just for fun. The Council chamber's proximity alarm started blaring. Xyloth checked his chronometer. 3 hours since he'd delivered the rejection. The humans weren't just fast, they were making a point. He settled back in his seat and wondered if Earth was accepting immigration applications. After all, they'd need someone who understood Council procedures, even if it was just to explain why those procedures were about to become historically irrelevant. The Council chambers erupted into pandemonium as proximity alarms wailed their electronic death song. Councilors who hadn't moved faster than a dignified waddle in centuries suddenly discovered they could sprint. Vornak's 3 mouths were attempting to issue 3 different orders simultaneously, creating a cacophony that sounded like someone strangling a bagpipe orchestra. Battle stations. Screamed his left mouth. Diplomatic protocols. Demanded his middle mouth. Where's my escape pod? Shrieked his right mouth, apparently having different priorities than its siblings. Xyloth remained seated, tentacles calmly wrapped around his armrests. The humans had included him on their coffee subscription service. That had to count for something, right? The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that made several counselors lose control of various biological functions. Earth's fleet hung in space like metallic predators, each ship a testament to what happened when you gave creative engineers 50 years and a grudge. They weren't the sleek, regulation-compliant vessels the Council favored. These ships looked like someone had asked a deranged artist to design weapons and forgot to mention they should follow physics. Incoming transmission. Squeaked Communications Officer Plebe, his voice cracking across 3 octaves. Elena Vasquez appeared on screen, still holding her coffee cup. She'd changed into what Xyloth recognized as military dress uniform, though the humans had apparently decided regulations were boring and added their own flourishes. Was that a pizza slice pin on her collar? Members of the Galactic Council, she began, her tone suggesting she was about to deliver either a eulogy or a comedy routine. I'm Admiral Elena Vasquez of the Terran Defense Initiative. We're here to discuss your recent permanent rejection of our membership application. This is an act of war. Vornak's middle mouth managed to boom while his other two were still arguing about escape routes. War? Elena tilted her head, the picture of innocence. High Chancellor, we're simply conducting a peaceful military exercise in unclaimed space. After all, since you've permanently rejected our membership, Council space regulations no longer apply to us. We checked. Article 47, subsection J, paragraph 12. You really should read your own bylaws. A younger human appeared beside her, fingers dancing over a holographic interface. Admiral, we've completed our scans. The Council's defense grid is, wow. Okay, so it's basically held together with hope and expired warranty seals. Thank you, Lieutenant Morrison. Elena's smile could have powered a small moon. High Chancellor, are you aware your primary defense platform is running on software that hasn't been updated in 800 years? We found the manual online. It was being used as a historical document in a museum. Xyloth watched Vornak's complexion cycle through several unhealthy shades. The Council had always assumed their technological superiority was absolute. No one had bothered to check if that was actually true. What do you want? Vornak finally asked, achieving synchronization across all three mouths for the first time in recorded history. Want? Oh, we don't want anything from you. Elena set down her coffee cup with deliberate precision. We're here to collect. Collect what? What? 50 years of wasted time. Resources spent on applications, diplomatic efforts. Do you have any idea how many fruit baskets we sent? The chocolate alone could have funded a small fleet. She paused. Actually, it did fund a small fleet. Turns out, when you're not spending resources trying to impress bureaucrats, you can build some interesting toys. The tactical display updated, showing more human ships emerging from hyperspace. They kept coming. And coming. And, sweet void, were those mobile shipyards. You see, Elena continued conversationally, while you were debating our worthiness, we were studying you. Every rejection letter taught us something new. Every diplomatic snub showed us another weakness. You know what we learned? The Council doesn't govern. It gossips. You're not leaders. You're the galaxy's most overfunded debate club. You dare. Vornak began. Oh, I dare all kinds of things. For instance, I dare to point out that your permanent rejection violated 17 of your own procedural codes. We documented everything. Would you like to see the paperwork? We learned from the best. After all, you taught us bureaucracy. And we weaponized it. Lieutenant Morrison looked up from his console. Admiral, the Zentari Collective is asking if we're accepting alliance applications. So are the Miners Guild, the Free Traders, and, looks like half the species the Council's been ignoring for the past millennium. Tell them we'll review their applications promptly. Within days, not decades. Elena's expression hardened. Unlike some organizations, we believe in efficiency. Counselor Thrix, who'd been molting stress feathers for the past 10 minutes, suddenly squawked, You can't simply replace the Council. We've maintained order for 12,000 years. Maintained order? Elena laughed. And it wasn't a pleasant sound. Tell me, Counselor, what happened to the vegan colony? The Proxima mining stations? The entire Kepler sector? Oh, right, they were all destroyed while you were forming committees to discuss forming committees to maybe consider sending aid. Eventually. If the paperwork was filed correctly. Those were unfortunate incidents, Vornak muttered. Unfortunate? Unfortunate? Elena's voice could have frozen helium. Billions died while you debated jurisdiction. Well, congratulations, you don't have to worry about jurisdiction anymore. Morris, we're taking over. Every system the Council ignored, every species you deemed unworthy, every problem you were too busy to solve, they're our responsibility now. And if we refuse to recognize your authority, Elena's smile returned, all teeth and terrible promise, then you'll learn why we spent 50 years playing nice. Lieutenant Morrison, please demonstrate Project Mockingbird. The human's fingers danced across his console. Suddenly, every screen in the Council chambers displayed the same message. Your warranty has expired. Please contact customer service. What is this? Vornak sputtered. This is us being gentle. Elena explained. We've had 50 years to study your systems, your codes, your security protocols. Did you know your entire defense grid runs through a single processing node? We do. We also know the override codes. Want to guess how? Xyloth's chromatophores flashed in realization. The rejection letters. You encoded viruses in the rejection letters? Viruses? How crude. Elena looked genuinely offended. We encoded educational materials. Every time you sent us a rejection, you were teaching our systems how yours worked. It was very considerate of you. A new alarm started blaring. Different from the proximity alerts, this one indicated critical system failures across the board. Life support flickered. Artificial gravity hiccuped. The coffee maker in the break room achieved sentience and immediately filed for better working conditions. Stop this. Vornak's control finally shattered completely. Stop. But we're just getting started. Elena's tone suggested she was enjoying this far too much. Tell me, High Chancellor, did you ever wonder why humans were so persistent? Why we kept applying despite constant rejections? You're insane. All humans are insane. Insane? No, we're thorough. We needed to understand exactly who we were dealing with before we made our move, and now we know. You're not a government. You're a country club with delusions of grandeur. And your membership just got revoked. More human ships appeared. Cargo vessels, medical frigates, construction platforms, an entire civilization's worth of infrastructure materializing from hyperspace like a magic trick performed by particularly vindictive magicians. We're not conquering, Elena clarified, seeing the horror on various alien faces. We're renovating. Every system failed by the Council, every species ignored, every crisis deemed not our problem, we're fixing them. With or without your permission. The member species will never accept this. Really? Lieutenant Morrison pulled up new data. Because we're receiving alliance requests from 73% of Council members. Turns out, they're tired of waiting centuries for basic services too. Xyloth's communication device chimed. A message from the Zentari Collective. The humans fixed our weather control system in 3 hours. The Council's been investigating the problem for 50 years. We're switching sides. Sorry, not sorry. You planned this, Vornak accused, achieving a level of synchronized outrage across all 3 mouths that was actually impressive. All of it. Planned? High Chancellor, we didn't plan this. We prepared for it. There's a difference. Elena picked up her coffee cup again, taking a deliberate sip. We hoped you'd accept us. We really did, but we knew you wouldn't. Your rejection was as predictable as your defense protocols. What happens now? It was Counselor Blorg who asked, his kazoo voice somehow managing to sound dignified. Now? Now you have a choice. Elena set down her cup with finality. You can accept that the galaxy has outgrown the Council, step aside gracefully, and maybe maintain some dignity. Or you can resist and learn exactly how creative humans can be when motivated. We've been nice for 50 years. We're done being nice. The lights in the Council chambers flickered again. When they steadied, holographic displays showed human ships taking positions around every major Council installation. Not attacking, just waiting, like predators who knew the prey was already caught. Oh, and Vornak? Elena's parting smile was pure predator. That private estate of yours in Sector 3? Beautiful property. Great views. Terrible security. You might want to check your wine cellar. We left you a gift. The transmission cut, leaving the Council in darkness punctuated by emergency lighting and the sound of Thrick's stress molting herself bald. Xyloth's device chimed again. Another message from Elena. Job offer attached. Director of Interspecies Relations. Great benefits. Unlimited coffee. And you'll actually get to help people instead of debating font sizes. Interested? E? He looked around the chambers where he'd spent centuries accomplishing essentially nothing. Vornak was attempting to contact his estate, all 3 mouths cursing in different languages. Other counselors were frantically checking their own holdings, suddenly realizing that 50 years of human diplomats might have been doing more than delivering fruit baskets. Security reported in. Human ships had deployed around every council facility, every member world, every strategic resource. Not attacking, not threatening, just present. Like a parent standing behind a misbehaving child, waiting for them to realize the tantrum was over. "They're not invading," Xyloth said quietly, understanding finally dawning. "They're evicting us." The council had spent millennia believing they were the landlords of the galaxy. The humans had just served them notice. Xyloth pulled up the job offer on his personal device. The salary was interesting. The coffee subscription was better. The chance to actually accomplish something instead of debating it for centuries, priceless. He stood, straightening his robes for the last time. "Fellow counselors, it's been an honor serving with you." "Actually, no, it hasn't. It's been tedious, pointless, and my tentacles have gone numb from sitting through your debates. I quit." "You can't quit. We're in the middle of a crisis." "Really? Which one?" "The human situation, the Kepler genocide you've been ignoring, or the fact that your coffee maker just filed a harassment complaint." Xyloth moved toward the exit. "The humans are right. We're not a government, we're a cosmic joke," and the punchline just arrived with a fleet. Fane. As he left, he heard Vornak's frantic communication with his estate. Apparently, the humans had replaced his entire wine collection with fruit baskets. Each one contained a note. "Thanks for the rejection. Enjoy the grapes." Earth. The evacuation of council headquarters began within the hour, not because the humans forced it, but because systems kept mysteriously failing. Coffee makers achieved sentience. Elevators developed opinions about their passengers' weight. The universal translator started adding commentary to translations, mostly sarcastic observations about the speaker's intelligence. By the time Xyloth reached human space, accepting his new position and extremely generous coffee allowance, the Galactic Council had effectively dissolved. Member species lined up to join the Terran Alliance faster than humans could process applications. Unlike the Council, they actually processed them. The age of bureaucratic incompetence was over. The age of aggressive efficiency had begun. And it came with excellent coffee, comprehensive healthcare, and a response time measured in hours, not centuries. Vornak's last transmission before fleeing to deep space was a grudging admission. "Maybe we should have accepted their first application." Elena's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "Too late now. But don't worry, we'll do your job better than you ever did, and we'll do it with style." The human fleet spread across the galaxy, not as conquerors but as the galaxy's new management. They fixed problems, resolved disputes, and generally made themselves so useful that species wondered how they'd ever survive the Council's incompetence. And somewhere in the void, Xyloth sipped his perfectly brewed coffee and smiled. The humans hadn't just won, they'd won so thoroughly that losing looked like a mercy. Best career change ever.